Before we delve any deeper into this journey together, there is a fundamental concept you must absolutely grasp. In fact, this might just be the most pivotal realization you will face this entire year. The grand occurrence you have been anticipating, it has already transpired. The vast majority of humanity wastes their entire existence holding out for some grandiose phenomenon, a deafening roar from the skies, a blinding flash of lightning, or an undeniable cinematic sign from the universe to validate their arrival at the next level. However, your personal metamorphosis did not pause to gather an audience or demand a spotlight. This profound shift did not take place while you were painstakingly reciting positive affirmations into your bathroom mirror, nor did it manifest during a deep, agonizing attempt to force a spiritual breakthrough via an intensive guided meditation. Instead, it unfolded within the profound stillness of your ordinary routines. It sneaked in while you were deep in slumber, while you were trapped in the monotonous gridlock of a Tuesday afternoon commute, while you were scrubbing plates at the kitchen sink, or simply gazing up at your bedroom ceiling during the desolate, quiet hours of midnight. Lately, you have been questioning why the very oxygen you breathe possesses a distinct, unfamiliar texture. You have noticed an inexplicable alteration in the gravity of your daily existence, a strange shifting in the atmospheric pressure of your life. The explanation for this is simultaneously far simpler and infinitely more complex than your mind can currently comprehend. An event of monumental proportions took place within your personal energy grid, an event that your logical brain is still struggling to fully process. Let me be entirely clear. The reality that you are sitting here, absorbing these specific sentences right in this exact moment, is absolutely no coincidence. This is not some arbitrary glitch in a social media algorithm, nor is it a meaningless piece of digital media floating across your screen on an unremarkable afternoon. What you are experiencing right now is your profound cosmic validation. Your vibrational resonance has undergone a massive elevation. We are not discussing a trivial, minor step forward in your personal development. The recent structural reorganization of your auric field was nothing short of a seismic event. It was a quantum leap so magnificent, so thoroughly absolute, that conscious entities residing in realms entirely invisible to the naked human eye have paused to observe. These higher dimensional intelligences are now fixated on your unique energetic blueprint. They are watching with absolute astonishment, eagerly anticipating your next maneuver. Allow that reality to settle deeply into your bones for a second. Do not try to analyze it with your intellect. Rather, absorb it with the quiet rhythm of your breathing. You did not stumble upon this message today. This message actively hunted for you. It tracked you down precisely because your spiritual aura, that brilliant, complex quantum framework woven through and around your physical vessel, just shattered a boundary that most souls spend dozens of lifetimes trying to even approach, let alone conquer. Deep inside, a part of you is already acutely aware of this reality. A silent, unwavering intuition has been whispering that you are teetering on the precipice of something unimaginably vast. Even if the final destination remains obscured from your vision right now, you can sense that the foundational bedrock of your normal life has been irrevocably altered. Simply put, the version of you that went to bed yesterday no longer exists. We must explore the profound implications of this, primarily because society completely misrepresents what massive vibrational upgrades actually look like. They rarely mirror the instant, euphoric bliss that pop spirituality promises. You might anticipate that leveling up your frequency would immediately result in unbridled happiness, crystal clear purpose, and an overwhelming surge of confidence. While those sensations will eventually arrive, the initial shock of a genuine quantum restructuring within your aura is frequently baffling and dizzying. It creates a sensation where the deeply familiar suddenly appears entirely alien. It is comparable to waking up in your own bed, yet gravity feels slightly off. The ambient lighting seems distorted, and the burning desires that once propelled you forward have inexplicably evaporated. You may catch yourself reaching for old comforts, a deeply ingrained routine, a specific conversation, a former confidant, or a long-held ambition only to discover they no longer resonate. They feel entirely vacant, much like trying to squeeze into a beloved outfit that you have outgrown by several sizes. Please understand, this sensation is not a sign of being lost or confused. That is the precise feeling of profound recalibration. Your energetic blueprint is currently rewiring itself to align with a drastically elevated baseline. Consequently, anything that was previously harmonized with your old, lower vibration is now inherently discordant. Reflect on the relationships that seemed perfectly adequate merely days ago. Do they now carry a strange dissonance? Do the mundane chats that once engaged your curiosity now sound like grating, meaningless static? Do the lofty ambitions you were relentlessly hunting suddenly appear trivial and devoid of actual urgency in a way you cannot quite articulate? This phenomenon occurs because the universe is literally muting the volume on every single aspect of your reality that fails to match your newly minted frequency. Pay close attention to the physical sensations cascading through your body as you absorb this truth. Discard logical analysis and lean entirely into the visceral resonance. Deep within your core, perhaps behind your sternum or resting at the base of your throat, your cells are silently screaming yes right in this exact second. That is the feeling of genuine recognition. That is your biological machinery, acting as a divine antenna, validating that your internal dial has indeed been aggressively turned. Quantum mechanics has already proven a staggering truth regarding the nature of our universe. The mere act of observation fundamentally alters the reality being observed. When a conscious mind directs its focus toward a subatomic particle, it forces an infinite spectrum of possibilities to collapse into one definitive, tangible outcome. Therefore, your focus is never merely a passive lens. It is a wildly powerful, generative force of creation. Focus is not simply an abstract thought. It is a literal, tangible force. Now, I need you to take that subatomic principle and magnify it, projecting it directly onto the grand scale of your own conscious awareness. Consider the profound implications. What exactly occurs when vast, multidimensional intelligences, forms of awareness that function on frequencies entirely outside the limited spectrum of normal human sensory perception, suddenly lock their focus onto your individual energetic signature? The exact same quantum mechanic applies. Simply being observed at that magnificent, elevated echelon serves as a profound catalyst. It forcefully ignites layers of your personal aura that had previously been lying entirely dormant. It drastically accelerates the process of collapsing your highest possible potentials into your physical, lived reality. Understand clearly that this is not flowery, poetic imagery. This describes the literal, functional mechanics of the cosmos. In recent days, you have successfully crossed a critical threshold of energetic coherence. The broadcast emitting from your spiritual field became sufficiently pure and powerfully robust to register on an entirely distinct scale of cosmic awareness. You emerged from the static. You became visible. You became a detectable entity to immense forces that normally do not waste their attention on the fragmented, low-vibrational chaos of the average human existence. And let me tell you, those forces were left entirely astounded. They were not amazed because you somehow reached a flawless, pristine state of divine enlightenment, nor were they impressed because you managed to check off some arbitrary list of spiritual achievements. Their astonishment was sparked purely by the unparalleled, intrinsic quality of your vibrational tone. They witnessed a breathtaking level of spiritual endurance vibrating deep within your core. They observed the frequency of a soul who managed to keep their inner luminescence blazing fiercely throughout long, brutal seasons characterized by absolute silence, deep confusion, and maddening delays. The tragic reality is that the vast majority of individuals inevitably crumble into resentment or bitter despair when their external circumstances fail to mirror their exhausting internal labor. When the journey becomes treacherous, most people readily surrender their personal frequency, allowing it to be devoured by the chaos of their surrounding environment. But you stood your ground. You held the line. Certainly, your grip was not always perfect. You absolutely experienced agonizing moments of severe doubt, endless nights of bone-deep exhaustion, and those terrifying hours in the dead of night where you desperately questioned if any of your spiritual progress was actually real. Yet, fundamentally, down at the most foundational level of your energetic blueprint, you absolutely refuse to let the external static overwrite the pure, authentic signal of who you truly are. You manage to remain completely, unapologetically yourself, while navigating a brutal test of structural integrity, a test that would have easily shattered a consciousness less securely anchored. That exact quality of unwavering existence is what those higher dimensions recognized. That specific endurance is what transformed you into a blinding beacon amidst a massive sea of ordinary vessels blindly wandering through the physical realm. You are far more than flesh. You are a dynamic, brilliant, and deeply intelligent field of quantum coherence. This luminous halo you possess functions in strict accordance with exact scientific laws, laws that dictate precisely what you draw toward yourself and what you violently repel. Make no mistake, frequency is not mere poetry, it is hard physics. In the same way that subatomic particles sharing similar frequencies naturally synchronize and begin pulsating in perfect harmony, your energetic field is currently synchronizing with entirely new dimensions of staggering possibility. This mechanism is the exact reason why your external reality has begun morphing in ways you did not actively or consciously set in motion. Certain doors are slamming shut simply because they can no longer tolerate the resonance of the powerful new note you are striking. Individuals are quietly drifting out of your life because there is no longer a vibrational tether strong enough to keep them anchored in your orbit. Breathtaking synchronicities are manifesting with a pinpoint accuracy that feels deliberately choreographed, because they are being choreographed directed by the awakened quantum intelligence of your own newly shifted field. The cosmos is not pausing to let you catch your breath. It has already initiated the grand rearrangement of your physical reality to perfectly mirror the internal shift that permanently locked into place while you were dreaming. You have successfully navigated the crossing, and the supreme forces entrusted with monitoring the vibrational landscape of collective human consciousness have officially recorded your arrival. They are actively observing you right now, not with harsh judgment or critical evaluation, but with a profound, awestruck fascination regarding the magnificent signal you are preparing to broadcast next. This marks the dawn of your untouchable era. You have fundamentally transformed. The cosmic dial has been aggressively turned. The background static has been eliminated, and the crisp, undeniable signal of your truest nature is finally blasting through the noise. To genuinely comprehend exactly why these elevated forces are so stunned by your recent transformation, we must step away from standard spiritual metaphors and deeply investigate the literal, structural mechanics of the energy field you are walking around with. The majority of society trivializes the concept of vibration, treating it as nothing more than a passing mood or an emotional state. However, on a quantum level, your specific frequency is an exact, measurable mathematical coordinate operating within the unified field of existence. Throughout the sprawling, vast majority of human history, the collective vibration of our species has functioned as a chaotic, messy tangle of conflicting interference patterns. It has essentially been a thick, suffocating soup of primal fear, basic survival instincts, and wildly fragmented attention spans. Higher dimensional intelligence's forces operating at a level of pristine coherence that we can scarcely imagine typically look down upon the collective human energy field and see nothing more than a wash of dull, gray static. It functions as a persistent background hum that almost never manages to generate a clear, sustained, or meaningful signal. But then, an anomaly occurs, hidden deeply within the billions of faint, flickering lights of mere survival-driven consciousness. One solitary point of illumination begins to throb with a rhythm that is absolutely unmistakable. It begins transmitting a signal that is not merely blindingly bright, but flawlessly coherent. Therefore, when these immense, higher forces finally pivoted their cosmic gaze in your direction, they did not merely witness a standard human being attempting to live a decent life. Instead, They witnessed an energetic signature that had accomplished what amounts to a statistical impossibility. They observed a resilient signal that had withstood the suffocating, crushing pressure of a fundamentally low vibrational environment. Yet, rather than crumbling under that immense weight, your frequency utilized that very pressure to forge itself, tempering its essence until it achieved a flawless, diamond-like clarity. The underlying mechanics driving this massive energetic shift are anchored in a phenomenon known as heart-brain coherence. This is a profound physiological and energetic state wherein the electromagnetic rhythms of your body's two most dominant biological oscillators synchronize perfectly, merging into a flawless, unbroken sine wave. Visualize your personal energy field, your luminous halo, as a complex toroidal structure. Picture a massive, entirely self-sustaining loop of brilliant energy that surges continuously outward from your heart center, cascades around your physical form, and funnels seamlessly back down through your crown chakra. When a person is existing in a state of decoherence, this torus becomes erratic, unstable, and riddled with energetic leaks. It bleeds vital force into every petty drama it encounters and eagerly sponges up the toxic residue of any negative environment it enters. However, the moment you successfully lock into the rare, elevated frequency that currently holds these higher intelligences in awe, your torus fundamentally transforms. It becomes an impenetrable, high-velocity, closed-loop system. The protective boundaries of your aura are no longer constructed from standard shields in the way esoteric traditions usually describe them. Rather, your ultimate protection is built purely out of velocity. Because your internal field is now vibrating at such a staggering speed and operating with such impeccable internal organization, lower frequency emotional patterns and chaotic energies simply cannot find an anchor point. They may desperately attempt to latch onto your energy, but because there is absolutely no corresponding low vibration residing within you to serve as a tether, they fail. They slide right off the surface. They dissolve into nothingness. They are rendered entirely irrelevant. This mechanical reality is precisely why you have been experiencing such a strange, profound stillness recently. It explains that eerie, unshakable calm you feel while standing in the dead center of a chaotic storm that, in the past, would have completely shattered your emotional state. You must understand, you have not grown cold, detached, or apathetic. You have simply become perfectly coherent. You have constructed an impenetrable armor forged entirely out of pure, high-speed resonance. Allow me to guide you deeper into exactly why this specific attribute you possess is considered so exceptionally rare. There exists an ancient, deeply hidden parable concerning a legendary musician, often referred to as the Keeper of the Silent Note. According to the lore, he resided in a sprawling city that was trapped in a state of perpetual, brutal warfare. It was a hellish landscape where the atmosphere was constantly thick with the agonizing screams of the wounded and the terrifying, metallic clash of steel. Every single citizen trapped within those city walls was forcefully attuned to the frantic frequency of conflict. Their lives were consumed by either violent fighting, desperate fleeing, or cowering in absolute terror. Yet, every single morning, the keeper would calmly position himself in the direct center of the chaotic market square, holding a delicate silver bell that he resolutely refused to ring. He simply sat in profound stillness with it. The terrified populace relentlessly mocked him, labeling him a pathetic fool or a worthless coward for refusing to participate in their bloody struggle. What they completely failed to comprehend was that the keeper was actively executing the most grueling and vital task imaginable. He was intentionally holding the silent note. He was consciously sustaining an internal frequency of absolute peace while sitting in the center of an environment explicitly designed to obliterate it. The legend states that one afternoon, a terrifying, battle-hardened general approached the keeper, aggressively demanding an explanation as to why this musician showed absolutely no fear in the face of the impending slaughter. The keeper slowly raised his eyes to meet the general's gaze and stated softly, "The slaughter you bring is nothing but noise. Noise can only consume the souls of those who carry no music of their own. I am the music. That ruthless general, a man who had witnessed the darkest depths of human depravity, was left completely stunned. His astonishment did not stem from the keeper's poetic words. He was stunned because, simply by standing within the musician's immediate energetic radius, his own frantic heartbeat began to slow. His deep-seated rage inexplicably evaporated, and for one fleeting, breathtaking second, he could audibly hear the profound power of that silent note. This ancient parable perfectly mirrors the exact process that has unfolded within your own life. Through the grueling, extended seasons of your own brutal personal wars, you have served as the relentless keeper of the silent note. You have successfully survived agonizing stretches of deafening silence from the universe, periods where it genuinely felt as though your most desperate prayers were crashing violently against a ceiling made of solid lead. You have waded through the agonizing muck of bitter betrayals, maddening delays, and that brutal, liminal space where you internally knew you were transforming. Yet your bank account, your social circle, and your tangible physical reality had not yet received the cosmic memo. When confronted with that crushing level of universal silence, the vast majority of human beings inevitably succumb to bitterness. They allow the chaotic noise of the external world to completely drown out their internal music. They begin actively broadcasting a frequency of deep resentment, and make no mistake, resentment is a parasitic vibration that permanently chains you to the exact circumstances you despise. But you refused to submit. You stubbornly held your note. You fiercely maintained your internal frequency of unwavering trust and endurance, even when there was absolutely zero tangible evidence in your physical reality to justify such faith. That specific, unbreakable tenacity is the incredibly rare quality that those higher dimensional forces detected on their radar. They observed a human being who refused to be merely a fair-weather spiritual seeker, but who instead acted as a massive structural anchor for high-frequency consciousness, while buried deep inside a low-frequency zone. They were utterly stunned because your existence proved that a fragile human energy field possesses the capacity to maintain its structural integrity while submerged under extreme quantum pressure. However, at this critical juncture, we must draw a stark and vital distinction between the act of performance and the state of resonance. This distinction is precisely where the majority of spiritual seekers completely lose their footing, following a massive, energetic shift. Performance is merely the ego's desperate, clumsy attempt to mimic a high vibrational state. Performance looks like the strained, forced smile. It is the hollow repetition of positive affirmations that your subconscious mind entirely rejects. It is the frantic, desperate clawing to manifest a specific outcome. The act of performing is a grueling, exhausting grind. It carries a massive energetic weight because it requires immense effort, and exerting that kind of desperate effort inherently broadcasts a frequency of lack to the universe. Whenever you desperately try to force your vibration higher, you are simultaneously screaming to the quantum field that your current vibration is fundamentally broken or low. The quantum field, acting as an impartial, flawless mirror, obediently responds by providing you with endless opportunities to continue trying and struggling. Resonance, conversely, operates on an entirely different paradigm. True resonance is an effortless state of being. It is the profound, quiet recognition that the elevated frequency you are seeking is not a distant prize you must aggressively hunt down, but rather an intrinsic truth that you are already effortlessly vibrating at. The moment you abandon the exhausting quest for invulnerability and simply acknowledge that your energetic radiance is already fully operational, all unnecessary struggle evaporates. In that profound release, your frequency doesn't just climb, it spikes exponentially. This is the ultimate cosmic contradiction of the quantum field. The less you frantically reach for, the more the universe is compelled to pour into your lap. These higher dimensional observers are in absolute awe of you because you have finally transcended the performative stage of spiritual growth. You have ceased your attempts to bargain with the universe for validation or to prove your worthiness. Instead, you have begun to inhabit your life as if your value were an absolute, unchangeable pillar of existence. This transition into pure resonance carries immediate, tangible consequences for how you navigate the physical world. Picture yourself walking into a space saturated with individuals trapped in a cycle of grievance, cynicism, and psychological defeat. In your previous state of being, your energy field would have instinctively synchronized with their heavy atmosphere. You would have absorbed their psychic weight, felt your internal light dim, and left the encounter feeling emotionally hollowed out. But everything has changed. Because your aura has breached the threshold of ultimate coherence, you now become the energetic epicenter. You set the tone for the entire room without uttering a single syllable or attempting to fix anyone's trauma. Your mere presence serves as a divine tuning fork. Those who are internally ready to ascend will experience a sudden, inexplicable uplift simply by being in your proximity. Meanwhile, those who are stubbornly committed to their own shadows will feel a profound, localized discomfort and will likely find an excuse to move away from you. Understand this clearly. Their discomfort is not your burden to solve. You are not tasked with regulating the reactions of others to the brilliance you carry. Your sole obligation is to maintain the purity and integrity of your internal broadcast. To be truly untouchable is to officially resign from your post as a frequency martyr. You are no longer willing to sabotage your own brilliance or dim your light just so others don't have to adjust their vision. You have finally realized that the most compassionate act for a darkened room is to be the most intense, unwavering lamp possible. The reason these vast, non-human intelligences are now actively contributing resources to your field is that you have demonstrated what we call quantum reliability. Within the unified field, the concepts of trust and authority are identical frequencies. You cannot be granted the keys to higher dimensional creative powers if your internal structure is erratic and unstable, for those powers would only magnify your own internal fragmentation. However, because you stood firm through the agonizing seasons of silence, and because you protected your luminosity when it would have been easier to quit, you have proven that your vessel can withstand a significantly higher voltage of divine power. You are currently being synchronized with forces that dwell at the very perimeter of primordial, divine wisdom. They are pulsing sophisticated, coherent streams of data directly into your aura, fortifying the architecture you painstakingly built during your long night of the soul. This is the catalyst for your intuition becoming unsettlingly precise, almost eerie. You are now tapping into a bandwidth of information that was previously invisible to your human senses. You are being navigated by the very entities who were transfixed by your sheer endurance. From this second forward, the archaic rules of frantic hustle and desperate toil have been rendered obsolete for you. You are entering the epoch of the sovereign navigator. Your mission is no longer to battle for what you desire, but to remain in perfect resonance with what is already yours at the level of the energetic blueprint. The shift occurred while you were asleep, because your logical mind was too obsessed with fixing problems to allow the update to take hold. Your spirit body was waiting for you to simply let go so it could finally lock in the structural upgrade. Now that the lock is established, the physical world must rearrange itself to comply with your new coordinates. It is a mathematical inevitability. These higher forces aren't merely spectators. They are waiting with bated breath to see how you will wield this newfound clearance. They are waiting to hear the symphony you will compose now that you have finally mastered the profound power of the silent note. Everything we have explored, the seismic reorganization during your sleep, the stunned gaze of higher realms, and the hard physics of your electromagnetic halo, has converged at this specific point of integration. You are no longer pacing the hallways of potential. You are standing at the absolute gateway of a sovereign reality. Yet, there is a secret regarding gateways that typical spiritual discourse often ignores. They don't always feel like a triumphant celebration. Frequently, the precise moment before you fully anchor into a new frequency feels like the most treacherous part of the entire path. This is the stage where your former self, the one calibrated to struggle, lack, and static, mounts its final, most desperate defense. This is when the echoes of your past vibrations scream the loudest, whispering poison into your ear. Who do you think you are to be noticed by such powers? Is this just another temporary peak before a catastrophic crash? I want you to view that internal noise not as a warning, but as a definitive confirmation. That voice is merely the energetic friction caused by a soul re-entering its true atmosphere at high velocity. It is the sound of your old, limiting world incinerating because it cannot survive the sheer heat of the frequency you now carry. You are evolving from a mere student of your own light into the living expression of it. This transition marks the end of your time as a seeker and the beginning of your existence as the original source looking outward. For a vast stretch of your journey, your primary orientation has been that of the perpetual seeker, the one constantly scanning the horizon for external approval, the one persistently asking for permission, and the one waiting in the shadows for the material world to validate your worth. You have been holding your breath, waiting for the digits in your bank account to finally reflect a sense of abundance, for your intimate relationships to mirror the depth of your love, and for the cosmos to finally grant you a definitive nod of, yes, you have finally earned your place. However, the fundamental realignment that occurred during your last slumber has effectively flipped the magnetic poles of your existence. You have moved past the point of requiring the world to confirm your frequency. Instead, the world is now standing in a state of suspended animation, waiting for you to broadcast your internal signal so that it can finally organize its physical matter around the blueprint you provide. This is an immense, sovereign responsibility, but it is a weight you have been meticulously prepared to carry through every agonizing season of silence you have endured. You have demonstrated what higher dimensional intelligences refer to as vibrational reliability. You maintained your internal note while the surrounding orchestra was crashing in dissonance. You kept the gates of your heart wide open even when the external world provided every logical reason to bolt them shut. Because of that rare tenacity, the supreme awarenesses that recorded your shift are now actively weaving their influence into your field, fortifying your internal coherence with sophisticated pulses of data that your conscious mind is only just beginning to decode. You are currently being synchronized with the highest order of intelligence available in the unified field. The only requirement remaining is for you to abandon the act of performance and fully inhabit your new reality. To ensure this transformation takes root, we must transition from abstract concepts into a somatic experience, bringing the shift directly into the living cells of your physical vessel. A frequency that remains merely a thought is insufficient. Thoughts alone lack the power to collapse wave functions into tangible reality. It is visceral resonance that commands the quantum field. I want you to pause right now, wherever you happen to be. Place both of your hands directly over the center of your chest, layering one palm over the other. Focus entirely on the physical heat radiating between your hands and your sternum. Observe the rhythmic rise and fall of your chest as you breathe. As you remain in this stillness, I want you to recognize that the microscopic gap between your palms and your heart is not empty space. It is a dense, pulsating, and highly pressurized field of sentient vitality. With your next inhalation, do not merely draw in oxygen. Visualize yourself inhaling the most refined, coherent frequency currently available in the quantum atmosphere surrounding you. Pull it directly into the core of your heart. As you exhale, do not just release breath. Imagine that high-velocity frequency exploding outward from your center in every direction. See it passing through your skin, saturating your clothing, and expanding to fill the entire room like a ripple in a pristine lake. This is not a simple visualization exercise. It is a conscious direction of your will. You are actively commanding the flow of your toroidal field. As you engage in this, you may notice a faint tingling in your fingertips, a sudden surge of warmth, or a profound sense of expansion in your chest as if a heavy, rusted armor has finally been lifted. This is your quantum halo responding to your direct command. This is the precise moment where the observer and the observed field merge into a singular, creative force. In this state of total coherence, I want you to anchor your nervous system with a new foundational mantra. This will serve as your structural lighthouse whenever the echoes of old static attempt to cloud your vision. Internalize these words now. I am the vastness of the field itself, entirely distinct from the fluctuating frequencies that encounter me. Allow that truth to saturate your consciousness. Most people spend their entire lives reacting to the weather of their external circumstances. If the day brings fortune, their vibration rises. If the day brings conflict, their vibration plummets. They are essentially victims of the atmospheric pressure around them. But when you identify as the field, you realize that you are not the weather, you are the sky. The sky is never permanently altered or diminished by the storm. Clouds may gather in dark, threatening formations, lightning may strike with violent intensity, and gales may howl through the valley, but 3 miles above that chaotic theater, the sky remains perpetually clear, silent, and infinitely vast. You are that vastness. A jagged, difficult conversation, an unforeseen financial hurdle, or a moment of social friction, these are merely transient weather patterns drifting across the expansive sky of your consciousness. These events may touch the field, but they are fundamentally incapable of defining it. They move through your space, but they cannot separate you from your true self. This is the secret of being untouchable. It does not mean you will never encounter hardship. It means that no hardship is capable of colonizing your frequency, because you no longer provide a vibrational match for it to take root. You are the sky, and the weather is simply passing through. To ground this activation into the fabric of your daily life, I am providing you with a 7-day experiential audit. This is how we assemble empirical proof of your own latent magic. For the logical mind requires evidence to finally silence its doubt. For the next 7 days, maintain a small log, perhaps a digital note on your phone or a journal by your bedside. Your mission is to document every single instance of clean intuition that strikes you. These are the precognitive whispers that arrive long before logic has a chance to speak. It could be a sudden impulse to take a different route home, an instinctive feeling to contact a specific person, or a quiet, internal no that manifests before a proposal is even fully explained. Record the knowing. Note whether or not you chose to follow it. Then, record the eventual result. By the end of this week, you will observe a pattern of mathematical precision that your rational mind will be unable to dismiss as mere coincidence. You will see undeniable proof that your halo is functioning as a sophisticated receiver for high-frequency data guidance that is infinitely more accurate than your human reasoning. This practice builds quantum trust, a state in which you finally stop second-guessing the profound intelligence of your own energetic field. As this internal trust matures into an unwavering certainty, your frequency achieves a new level of permanent stabilization. That initial, stunned recognition from higher dimensional forces has now blossomed into a sophisticated, active partnership. You are no longer an isolated observer. You have become a vital junction within a global grid of synchronized awareness, a radiant sentinel whose specific signal is now a fundamental component of the planet's massive structural reorganization. You may find yourself questioning, why me? Why at this exact moment in history? The answer lies in the very heartbeat of the Earth, the Schumann resonance. The fundamental electromagnetic pulse of our world is currently in a state of unprecedented, radical flux. Our reality is being saturated by a monumental influx of high-frequency cosmic light, and every system built upon the archaic foundations of fear, scarcity, and control is fundamentally destabilizing. You see the evidence of this daily, in the chaotic headlines, in the literal crumbling of centuries-old institutions, and in the pervasive cloud of collective anxiety that seems to hang over the masses. However, for a soul like yours, one whose energy field has successfully breached the threshold of total coherence, this global upheaval is not a disaster. It is a divine invitation. The same tidal wave of energy that is currently dismantling the old world is the very power source fueling your personal activation. You are being meticulously tuned by the planet itself. You are being summoned to stand as a vibrational steward, one who possesses the rare ability to maintain their internal equilibrium while the rest of the world is losing its grip on reality. Understand that this is not a burden you must endure. It is your ultimate creative birthright. Every single time you consciously choose your own resonance over an impulsive emotional reaction, you are doing far more than just saving yourself. You are contributing a powerful, coherent pulse to the human collective field. You are making it infinitely easier for the person standing next to you to find their own lost signal. You are an essential member of the team, currently rewriting the very source code of human existence. Higher forces are maintaining their focus on you because you have demonstrated the capacity to handle this increased voltage. You have proven that you will not squander this power on the petty ego gratifications of the old paradigm, but will instead use it for the relentless expansion of the light. Consequently, they are now actively fortifying your aura, transmitting synchronicities that function as quantum nudges to keep you anchored to your highest possible timeline. Pay exquisite attention to the repetitions surfacing in your reality, the recurring numbers, the uncanny phrases, and the chance encounters that feel too perfect to be random. These are the divine fingerprints of higher dimensional attention. They are breathtakingly precise because you have finally become breathtakingly clear. You are no longer a voice shouting into a cold, dark void. You are now whispering into a cosmic microphone that is broadcast across the entire universe. Carry yourself with the quiet, unshakable dignity of a sovereign being who knows, without a shadow of a doubt, that they are backed by the absolute. You have no need for the frantic hustle. You have no need for exhausting strain, and you have absolutely nothing to prove to anyone. Your only requirement is to simply be. As we bring this transmission to a close, it is time to anchor your internal shift into the collective digital grid. There is a specific, measurable power in the written word when it is infused with genuine, high-speed resonance. If you feel the undeniable truth of this activation vibrating in your very bones, I want you to project that energy by typing this exact phrase in the comments. My halo is activated. When you commit those words to the screen, you are doing much more than leaving a comment. You are dropping a permanent coordinate of light into the digital field. You are signaling to every other lighthouse on this planet that you are officially online. You are weaving your unique frequency into the thousands of others who have received this broadcast, constructing a global web of coherence that the old world cannot understand, and more importantly, cannot touch. Your specific signal is vital. Your presence on this earth is the ultimate proof of the shift. Remain anchored in your field. If you ever feel the static of the old world attempting to claw at your edges, return to this transmission and reabsorb it. Let these words serve as a divine tuning fork for your soul until this high vibrational state becomes so natural that you no longer require a reminder. Your journey has officially moved past the phase of preparation. You have crossed the threshold. The higher forces are watching with profound interest. The quantum field is responding to your every breath. You are finally, fully, and irreversibly yourself. Welcome to your new baseline. The halo is active. The sovereign navigator has arrived.